Hello guys. How are we? It's pretty dark in here, so you might not be able to tell. But I am in a new place. I moved a little bit over 3 weeks ago. So I have moved from, you'll be able to hear a lot more traffic now because I've moved to the inner suburbs of Melbourne. I was previously in the outer suburbs and now I've moved about 20 minutes closer to the city. And I'm in an apartment building, one of 8. And I'm on the ground floor, which I'm pretty happy about. I've always had this irrational fear of falling off a balcony. If I were to live on a high level, then I would just slip and fall or something, or get really drunk and have a mishap. So it's hard to do that on the ground floor. And so you might know that I work in the city, so my commute is a lot shorter now. That's really good. And I have a whole lot more public transport around me now, which I'm going to endeavour to utilise. I haven't very much yet, but I'm going to get my confidence up around trams. I don't know what part of the world you're in, but Melbourne has a pretty great tram system, and I've never really understood how they work. I didn't grow up with them around, so, and didn't really use public transport a lot growing up. Certainly wasn't allowed to use it on my own. So I'm kind of playing a bit of catch up, figuring out how it all works. Yeah, so I'm living on my own. Went through a breakup. It's funny, I moved 3 weeks ago, but the breakup was almost 6 months ago. So there was a bit of a, shall we say, uncomfortable living arrangement for a while there. A good long while there. So I am certainly happy to be free of that. So it's been a big transition, and it continues to be. Never lived on my own before. I've always wondered how I would cope and what it would feel like, and in some ways it's been what I expected, in some ways it hasn't. I mean, 3 weeks is not a very long time to judge, but I will say I've been pleasantly surprised by the fact that I haven't really felt unsafe. I haven't really felt scared, which there was a few months there where I was living in my previous house on my own, and things would creak and things would thud, and I would just get a little bit scared, I guess, alone at night. And I thought that would really be exacerbated here, but no, it's been fine. I think maybe because I'm on like quite a busy road, it's, in some ways it's kind of irritating to have the constant noise, but it's also kind of comforting. And yeah, it's almost like I never quite feel alone, because there's always the sound of life outside, whether I like it or not. But I think it's mostly a good thing. So yeah, and maybe in another video I'll give you a tour of the apartment. It's still a work in progress, very much. But this wall here, you probably can't see in the dark, but it's a lovely olive green colour. And over there, some lovely wallpaper. I won't show you too much more because it's messy. But my mum and her partner just pulled out all the stops, helping me move and helping me get set up here, and I'm just so grateful to them. I don't know what state I would be in otherwise. Not a good one. So just slowly starting to like hang things up on the walls and finish unpacking boxes, putting stuff away, and trying to work and do things like the carols by candlelight, which I'm doing again this year. It was a close one this year. I nearly didn't make the cut. And I called in some favours, well, shall we say. And so I just got in. Indiana Jones under the door. Yeah. Just got in, so I'm very happy about that. And all my friends are in again this year, and we're all sitting together, and it's going to be fab. Yeah, I'm really grateful that I have kind of cultivated this personal Christmas tradition, because God knows I can't count on my family to carry on any sort of traditions, especially this year. This will be the first Christmas without my dad, and it's going to be weird and hard. And I'm working, actually. I'm working on Christmas Day, and that's going to be weird and hard for its own reasons. But I'm going to try and make the best of it. And the carols will be fun. So, what else? What else can I tell you? It's been an interesting couple of weeks. A lot of ups and downs. Mostly downs, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't want to... I'd like to keep this video relaxing. But, I feel like I have had more than my fair share of loss this year. And I've never really been one to count the years, like, you know, when people say, this year just needs to be over, I can't wait for next year and things will be better. Like, I've always thought it was a bit of a strange way of looking at things, because fundamentally nothing changes between December 31 and January 1st, does it? Just because you're adding another, you know, changing the years, but it doesn't really. It's a mindset thing, isn't it? It's up to the individual what they make of it. But that being said, I can't wait for this year to be over. And I really, really hope next year is better. God, I need it to be better than this year. Things would have to go pretty poorly to be worse than this year. But anyway, I don't want to wallow. So, tell me how your life is going in the comments, and tell me some good things that are happening in your life. I would like to hear about the good things. It would not be an Opal ASMR video if I didn't tell you about what I'm watching at the moment. It's taken me, well, pretty much 3 weeks to kind of decompress enough in this apartment to feel like I can start watching something that isn't mindless YouTube videos, which is what it's mostly been. No offense to my fellow mindless YouTube video enjoyers. Where would I be without you? Sticky. I don't know if you guys get this, but I feel like when I'm really overwhelmed or stressed or upset, my brain just doesn't want to accept any kind of long form narrative or anything other than just silly mind numbing videos, YouTube videos or whatever. So anyway, maybe 2 nights ago, I decided that I was going to watch something, and I was just going to go with my gut. I was just going to go through my streaming platforms and pick something, and I did, and I don't know why I picked it. I started rewatching The Handmaid's Tale, which is not a barrel of laughs, it has to be said. So The Handmaid's Tale, I read the book. That was probably the last book that I read cover to cover, and that was an amount of time ago I am not comfortable revealing. An embarrassingly long time ago that I finished that book. I think I read that. I think that was actually the last time I was single. Was when I read that book. Interesting. A pattern is emerging. So I read the book, and then I immediately... Was the show out by then? I think maybe the show was just about to come out. Or maybe the first season had aired. So I read the book, watched however many seasons were out, and kept up with it up until I think I dropped off at about season 4, and I think there's 5 seasons out now. I'm not sure if it's finished or if there's still more to come. Don't know. I seem to remember getting a little bit frustrated at it. Wherever I got up to, like it was just getting a bit one note or something. But I'll have to see how I feel this time, and I'll push through and watch all of it. So yeah, I'm about halfway through season 1, and I'm sure I'll smash out the rest in no time. But actually the first proper thing I watched here was the Pride and Prejudice miniseries. You know the one with Colin Firth. Don't waste your time with anything else. Give me Colin Firth in a wet white shirt coming out of a lake, or give me death. It's so good, guys. If you're a hopeless romantic like me, absolutely get around it. I think I might even try and read the book. I think next time I can bring myself to go shopping and I can actually find a brick and mortar bookstore. I think maybe I'll try and find it. Maybe that can be my in to get back into reading. I'll tell you a funny story. A little mishap I had when I think maybe it was my first week, maybe my second week living here. I guess it was last week. So I've been very proud of myself that I've been assembling flat packs like nobody's business. Have I been assembling them perfectly? Certainly not. The last time my mum came over, she saw one of these kitchen stools that I had built, and she just sort of shook her head and got a drill and took it apart and put it back together again because I'd done such a bad job. That was quite funny. But that was not actually the funny story. So I put together a hammock chair, which is, I would show it to you, but it's dark. It's like a half a hammock, but instead of lying in it, you sit in it. And I put that together. I really wanted one. I thought it'd be really nice and soothing, and it is. It's great. But it was very heavy, so I had to sort of muscle it out onto the veranda, balcony, whatever you want to call it. I think I'm going to go with veranda because a balcony, to me, a balcony denotes what I was talking about before. You know, if you fall from it, you're going to hurt yourself. But this is the ground floor, so I think it's a veranda. So I muscled the hammock chair out onto the veranda. And so there's this door. Obviously there's this door that goes out onto the veranda. And I guess I had never shut it while I had been out there before. I had not had any reason to. But there's a lock on the door. Locks from the inside. But I hadn't really looked at that lock or tested it. I knew I had a key, but at this particular moment in time, I did not have my keys with me. I had nothing. I was in my pajamas. Didn't have my phone. It was just me and this hammock chair. So you see where this is going, don't you? I didn't even mean to shut the door. It's just gravity, or maybe I hip checked it or something. But I plopped the hammock chair down where I want it with a sigh of relief because it was heavy. And I hear the door slam shut behind me, and I just knew that it was locked. And yeah, I went and I shook the handle, and yep, it had locked. I hadn't set it to lock or anything. It just, I came to realize later that there is a faulty lock on that door, and you can't unsnib it. It only goes to lock, and that's its only mode. So really, it was a miracle that I hadn't done this earlier. I hadn't locked myself out earlier, but I had. It was the middle of the day on, I think it was a Saturday. Yeah, it was in my gym jams. No keys, no phone. Didn't know anybody who lived in this building. Sort of was weighing up all my options, like, okay, if I flag somebody down, what am I going to ask to use their phone? Does anybody know anybody's phone number off by heart anymore? I certainly don't. My mum is the person who has my spare set of keys, and she lives an hour and a half away, and I don't know her phone number because I know it would be prudent to remember it, but she uses a work mobile, and that number changes every couple of years, so I just at some point stopped bothering trying to remember it. So that was out. I thought, well, I can't call mum, can't call anybody, and I don't know my neighbours. I can't, if I sort of ran out there in my pajamas and was like, help, I live here, they'd be like, who are you? I haven't seen you before. If they were even inclined to help. So yeah, my front door was locked, so I couldn't run around to the front, and I couldn't get there's an entry door to the actual apartment building before you get to my door, so I wouldn't have been able to get through that either. And yeah, so I was boned, basically. I was pretty much boned. And after about 10 minutes of hyperventilating and subsequently composing myself, I realised that I could smash a window and try and get in that way, but it was a weekend and the chances of getting that fixed anytime soon would have been slim. So there was a shovel in the garden just over my railing. That was not mine. It was actually left by the previous tenant, and thank God they did, because it ended up being my saving grace. So I took this shovel, I jimmied the windowsill open. I mean, I made that sound very easy. It took an hour, and I did a significant amount of damage to the frame of the window because I had to sort of make a hole that I could shove the corner of the shovel into and pop the window open. And it was really hard, and that window is because the building's kind of old. It's about 30 so years old. And that window is really sticky just normally. Like, it's, if you wanted to just open it in the normal way, it was really hard and really, it would stick. So me trying to get this thing to pop open was just, oh, it was tough. It was really tough. And like I said, it took me about an hour. I was very red and sweaty, and I'm sure I had tears running down my face, and I don't know, went into a bit of a fugue state, just kind of realizing I had nobody to rely on but myself, and I had to figure this out. And thankfully, sometime later, I finally heard the incredibly beautiful sound of the window popping open, and I yanked it back and I crawled in through the window and immediately went and checked the lock on the door, and sure enough realised that it was broken. And that was a relief, at least, because this whole hour I was cursing myself like, you idiot, you should have seen this coming, how did you lock yourself out? But it actually wasn't my fault. I mean, I probably could have checked this lock and not just assumed that it was going to work, but I mean, not a huge crime, I don't think. I think it was just some fucking bad luck. I'm really, really glad that shovel was there, and I'm really glad that, because the funny thing is, this window that I crawled through, when I first moved in, it had metal bars on it. Somebody had attached bars to this window, I guess, as a safety precaution. But I found them to be quite unsightly, and so I removed them with some help. And I'm really glad that I did. I'm really glad that we did, because that was the very window that I ended up crawling through, and if I hadn't taken those bars off, I wouldn't have been able to get in, so... And then I flopped down on the floor as soon as I crawled in after checking the door, and I rang my mum and I was like, I'm sorry, I broke the window. But she was cool, and she came over the other day and she's started fixing it, because she's ridiculously wonderful and good to me. But I think now in hindsight, that's kind of like a funny story that I will look back on and, you know, laugh and be proud of myself that I managed to figure it out, and I managed to get myself back in, and, you know, independent woman. But I'll be investing in a new door lock, I think. Anyway, this is nearly done. Yeah, it's nice to see you guys. Please leave a comment and check in. I love hearing from you. I love hearing what's going on, and my life is a little bit depressing at the moment, so if you've got nice things happening, I would really like to hear about them. Okay, guys, see you next time.